going on, y'all? So today I'm going to be showing you how I find some seriously good fishing spots using Google Earth Pro. And so the first thing that you're going to do, literally, is type in Google Earth Pro into your search engine. Click on the first thing that comes up, then go ahead and click Google Earth Pro on desktop. You don't want the Google Earth Pro version that you can download on your phone. You want to download the actual service on Chrome, and I already have it downloaded, but it's perfectly safe to do. So you can go ahead and open it up, and you're going to come to something that looks like this. So this is the world, and you can basically go anywhere you want. For example purpose, I'm going to go to Lake Seminole. We were just there for the Florida Bass Nation State Championship. You can actually check out the video that I got from that tournament in the top right corner of your screen. Alright, so Lake Seminole, and it's going to zoom you in right there. So actually the first tip I got for you guys is historical imagery. It's huge. You can find anything. I'm talking anything on any body of water in the world. You can use this and you can find fishing spots. So you're going to want to click right here. It says show historical imagery. You can actually use this slider to go back and forth. So Google comes out with new imagery every so often on specific areas. On Lake Seminole, it looks like it goes all the way back to 1993. And so here, let's just go right here, just for example purposes. So let's just start going back and see what we see. So here we are in 2017, 2014. Oh, there's some already. A couple grass beds right there. You would have never found if you were just on regular Google Earth on your phone or, you know, anything else. But using Google Earth Pro, we can actually go back and we can see that there's a grass bed right there. There's actually quite a few of them. Once you see that grass bed, you can go ahead and mark it. So you can just click that yellow marker right there and just mark it grass bed. There you go. You can just mark it right there. Go ahead and put grass bed. And it shows up right there, like literally, easy as that. But one thing I like to do, actually, a spot like this, you're not just going to go there, and if you go there, you're going to find it on your Lorentz or whatever, your fish finder, and you're going to go there and you're going to say, oh, there's a grass bed there, but you're not going to remember, oh, the tip is down here, the point's down here, the actual edge is right here, and you'll be sitting right in the middle of that grass bed before you even know that you ran up on it and you spooked any fish that was on top of it. So to prevent that from happening, I actually figured out that you can use this tool right here. It's called adding a path, and you can literally just trace a path around your grass bed just like this. That way, when you get on the water, you can see the exact outline of the grass bed. It literally looks like an island, like on your fish finder. You're like, whoa, what is that? I'm going to run something over. No, that's your fishing spot. So you can actually mark that, whatever, grass edge for grass bed, so that you know exactly what you're doing. Because when you're done with this, you're going to have all kinds of spots. And let me tell you, I literally had like 70 spots marked for the Seminole tournament before we even got out on the water, just from doing research on Google Earth Pro. So once you do that, you can just click OK. And you can actually export that to your fish finder just like you would a regular marker, just like the yellow grass bed marker. So literally the exact same thing. Another tool that you can use, if you've never been to Lake Seminole before, you wouldn't know that you actually launch way up in the Flint River for any really big tournament you're going to have up there, all the way up in Bainbridge. And here's the boat basin right here. One thing you can do, it was my first time in November when we came up here, so we really didn't know how long that run out of the river to get into the main lake was going to be. And it obviously looks, it looks pretty long on here, so we were kind of concerned, like, are we even going to be able to fish outside the river? We had no idea. So, we problem solved. So we got on Google Earth Pro, and you can actually do a ruler and actually click path, because that'll help you. You'll see why. So you can just go from here to here to here all the way down the river. And actually what it's doing right now is measuring how many miles this is. So far it's 1.55 miles. But if you guys know how fast your boat goes, or approximately how fast you go during a tournament, then you're going to be able to figure out approximately how long it's going to take you. And I can actually tell you guys firsthand, this is actually a pretty spot-on way to do it. doesn't have to be exact, obviously, but just say we're running down the river. We're just going to pretend we're going all the way out to the mouth of the main lake. So let's say all the way down here. Let's say we just go to right here. So that's 13.83 miles. So depending on how fast you're going, that's going to take you, I don't know, around maybe around 15 minutes to run all the way. It takes us around 15 minutes in our boat, I'll tell you that much. But it could depend. It could be slower or faster depending on the boat you're in. But I find this tool really helpful. When you're going to a new lake, you can actually determine how far certain spots are going to be from you, because you don't want to waste a ton of time running, especially if you're like me and you're going to a new lake for a tournament. You want to know exactly what you're getting yourself into, so you're not wasting a ton of time running the boat when you could be fishing. So that is really the third tool I have for using Google Earth Pro. But the next thing I want to get into is exporting these files onto your fish finder, which is really the most important part, because it's not like you can carry your desktop computer in the boat. But we do have these things called fish finders, and you can actually export these spots right here onto your fish finder. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's go back to this spot that I had marked, this grass bed right here. You can't even see that it's there, but like I said, you can go back and voila, it's like magic. It's so cool. And like I said, you can go back in time and you can still see that it's there all the time. So after that, you're going to want to right click on that grass bed, and then you're going to click Save Place As. Okay? Once you're done with that, just save it to your desktop. I have actually a folder, Navionics Spots, Navionics Google Earth. I use them both. I named it Navionics Spots just because. And then I actually have a secondary folder called Lake Seminole Spots. You're not going to want to save it as a KMZ file. You want to switch that to KML if it isn't already so. Here's all my spots right here. You can see all that. But you want to go ahead and save it. Yes, I already did this, but I'll just replace it for example purposes. And then you cannot just put that file onto your Navionics card. So what you're going to want to do is go back to your browser and type in KML to gpx.com. Alright, so once you're there, you're going to want to make sure that KML to GPX is the file conversion selected, but after that you're going to want to just go in and choose your file. As you can see, I got a bunch of these, but I'm just going to go ahead and pick the easiest one. Let's see, let's just pick grass bed, the one I marked. I don't know if these matter right here, the fact that waypoints and tracks are checked, but I've never changed it. I never will, because what I do works, but I would just leave those checked. It's kind of the default. Once you get on the site, they're already checked off, but after that, you're just going to want to go ahead and convert it, and then you can download your file as a GPX file by clicking that link. There it is right there, and then you're going to want to show that in the folder. You can actually just find it by clicking on downloads. It's going to be the most recent download. And then once you're done with that, I actually already have my Navionics chip. It's right there, in my adapter. And so I put that in. And then you can see it down there. It's the Navionics card. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and move. Actually, I'm going to rename this. That is one thing about this, you'll have to rename all your spots, otherwise they'll come out like a bunch of gibber, like this one did, but you can just rename it really quick and easy. Grass bed. You're going to want to go ahead and move this on down to Navionics Spots. Actually, wait, let's leave it here. We're going to go Archive, and then I actually already have a Markers folder and a Seminole Spots folder, so I'm going to move it down into that folder, and boom, it's in there. You can go ahead and go in here and check just to make sure, and there's the file right there, grass bed. So that was easy, and then all we have left to do now is actually go and take this out once again and go straight to my Lorentz unit and actually convert the file and put it onto the Lorentz, and y'all, that's it. So I'll be right back and I'll show you how to do that. Alright y'all, so I'm out here on my Lorentz unit now. I'm gonna go ahead and scroll straight down to Files. I already put the chip back in. All you have to do is just pop that out, and put it in right there. See, I'm going to pop it in and pop it out, just like that. And then, now that it's back in there, oh, there it is. It's the one on the right, so I'm going to go to Archive, Markers, Seminal Spots. Sorry, you have to click on Seminal Spots. Then go down to Grass Bed, and click that, just like that. You click Import. Yes, you see that it's imported. We're going to go back. Actually, we're going to go to our chart and just make sure that spot's on there really quick. Go up to Lake Seminole. Here it is. And boom, you can even see that the path I traced is right there, right along there. That's what it's going to look like. And there's the grass bed itself. I actually marked the outside of it just so that you wouldn't run up on it, but you can see the path itself. It's the exact outline of what it looked like, and boom, that's all you have to do. Super easy. You'll get used to this process pretty fast. Like I said, really easy to do. What's going on, y'all? Thanks so much for watching today. Thanks for making it to the end of this long video. But if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. That would be amazing. I would appreciate it so much. Also, like the video. Comment below if you have any questions, comments, concerns, compliments. That would be awesome too. But seriously, comment below. It really helps. Also, check out all the latest videos. Right up there, right over there, right down there. Hit subscribe, y'all. It's been good. Hopefully I gave you guys some good information today. See ya.